Shana Tova. At my synagogue in the late 60s and early 70s, the most popular Zionist song they taught us kids was Kachol V'Lavan, the blue and white. Kachol V'Lavan ze tzeva shali, Kachol V'Lavan tzivei admati. Blue and white, these are my colors, the colors of my land. Blue and white, like a song, like a dream, like the sky and the snow. Blue and white, forever my home. Blue and white, my hope for shalom. One of the reasons they taught this particular song to us is that it is in very easy Hebrew. But more importantly, it is a song of commitment to hope, written by a Soviet Jew who knew only very basic Hebrew, but whose love and longing for the land of Israel was pure and deep. His dream was to escape the oppression of his native land for the freedom of his homeland. Recently, I saw a YouTube video of a new song about the colors of Israel. This one is called Tzeva Adom, Code Red. It was written in 2008 by a teacher in Sderot to calm her students' anxiety as they took cover from the rockets coming daily from Gaza. It begins with the words Tzeva Adom, code red, or literally color red, but it means code red, which is the way Israel announces a rocket attack situation in which residents have 15 seconds to take cover. Tzeva Adom, Tzeva Adom, code red, code red. Hurry, hurry, hurry to a sheltered place. Hurry, 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 because now it is not safe. My heart is beating, boom, bada, boom, boom, boom. My body's shaking, doom, da, doom, doom, doom. But I'll overcome it all, and I'll soon be standing tall. It comes down, boom, and we go back to our room. Stretch out now like a giraffe. Breathe in deep, let it out. Breathe in deep. Now we can laugh. The song has movements to fully engage the students' minds and their bodies. I encourage you to watch the video on YouTube. It's very moving, not to mention completely adorable with kindergartners singing. I'll post a link with a copy of this sermon on our website. Kachol V'Lavan and Tzeva Adom are both songs of resistance and resilience. Both reflect the will to remain strong and keep afloat against terrible odds, to resist the undertow that pulls toward despair. Jewish resilience is a distinct kind of resilience. It finds its source in time. When the Jewish people is faced with adversity, our greatest evidence that we can endure it is the past, and our greatest motivator to endure is the future. We can carry on because generations before us have proven we can. We must carry on because future generations depend on it. This is a season for vidui, confession. And I have to confess that recently I was beginning to be pulled into the undertow towards despair as the news from Israel went from bad to worse. Last summer, a summer before this one, children sang Tzeva Adom as rockets from Gaza were threatening Israel's physical survival. This summer, the battle was for her soul. In June, the ultra-Orthodox mayor of Rehovot canceled a bar mitzvah for autistic boys because it was to be held in a conservative synagogue. And Jewish extremists set fire to a Galilee church. In July, a woman was arrested for carrying a Torah at the Western Wall. And Israel's minister of religion questioned whether Reform Jews are Jews at all. August brought terrorism with the heinous killings at Israel's Pride Parade and in the West Bank village of Duma. Only this time, the terrorists were Jews. More and more, between the moral repercussions of the situation in the West Bank and Gaza and the disproportionate control of the ultra-Orthodox in Israeli government, the question appears to be not whether Israel will survive in the Middle East, but whether democracy will survive in Israel. Against the backdrop of the political morass of relations with the U.S., concerns over a nuclear Iran, and Israel's negative image in the international community, all this leaves me feeling more tseva adom than kachol v'lavan. I love Israel. I am bound to her. And yet the land I love is beginning to feel hard to love. Yossi Chaim Halevi, an American-born Israeli journalist, writes, "My generation fell in love with an Israel that we didn't understand. We had some idealized image of Israel in its early years. But really, labor Israel of the 50s and 60s was much less democratic and pluralistic than Israel of today. My fear is, therefore, that American Jews are falling out of love with an Israel they don't understand." It has been said that when American Jews do not see our own values reflected in Israel, that we distance ourselves. Perhaps this is a defense mechanism, the lesser evil in a choice between distance or despair. But neither is a good choice. The diaspora Jewish community needs Israel, and she needs us. The Talmud teaches, Kol Yisrael arevim ze bazeh. All Jews are guarantors for one another. Halevi elaborates, "We have two extraordinary communities that would have seemed miraculous 100 years ago. We have in Israel a sovereign Jewish state, and in the United States, we have the most accepted diaspora community in Jewish history. Each has developed a different kind of Jewish life that the other desperately needs. Only by acting as mutual guarantors can we rise to meet the immense challenges before us. Instead of despairing or distancing, we need to draw on our resources of Jewish resilience and lean in. That resilience, which connects us with our past and our future, can enable us to stay engaged, to stand strong with a changing Israel. In one of the key moments of the High Holy Day liturgy, we say, Utshuva, Utfilah, Utzdaka, Ma'avirin et Roa HaGzera. Repentance, prayer, and charity avert a harsh decree. This prayer can offer us a pathway to avoid despair and stay engaged. I'm going to interpret these three Hebrew concepts a little more broadly, along the lines of the Musar tradition of cultivating certain desirable character traits. First, teshuvah. Literally, the word has to do with turning, changing our focus. Resilience in any situation requires a positive outlook, turning our gaze toward the sparks of good, however small or hidden, to nurture them and fan them into flames of hope. Looking at Israel, there are many things to celebrate. Google Israel's achievements, and you will discover that she far outranks any other country per capita in university degrees, scientific papers, patents, and startup companies, especially among women and people over 55. Israel is the only country in the world that entered the 21st century with a net gain in its number of trees. Israel has a proud history of sending medical and humanitarian aid to disaster areas, from Oklahoma to Haiti, Myanmar to Nepal. And Israel treats in her hospitals wounded Palestinians and Syrian refugees. So this Rosh Hashanah, I am making an effort to celebrate all the good that comes out of Israel. Second, tefillah, prayer, or more broadly considered, faith. Resilience demands that one have faith that things will get better. It's related to tshuva in that it takes faith to seek out the good in a bad situation. In the beginning of Deuteronomy, we are told, God subjected you to the hardship of hunger and then gave you manna to eat, which neither you nor your ancestors had ever known. In the hardest of times, the sustaining factors are often things we haven't known, that we hardly even recognize. Finding them requires a leap of faith. That faith is supported by our past. We Jews are a persistent people. There's an old joke that every Jewish holiday can be described in under 10 words. They tried to destroy us. We survived. Let's eat. And our people has always looked to the future with hope, hatikva. As long as the Jewish spirit is yearning deep in the heart, then our hope will not be lost to be a free people in our land. As one Israeli observer put it, I am optimistic for several reasons. Israelis, including seculars like me who never go to synagogue, are well aware that Jewish values help the Jewish people survive, and that those Jewish values have never been about surviving at any cost or surviving as an unjust people who do the same things to other people that were done to us. That's never been the way we feel about ourselves. Of course, we have the right to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves. But equality and justice are mandated by our history, and we have to believe in that. Finally, tzedakah, translated as charity, but as you may know, it more accurately means righteousness or righteous action. The third midah, character trait, needed for resilience in a challenging situation is the will to act, to draw on whatever strength we have to do something, however small, to contribute to healing, repairing, or improving the situation. What can I do to make a difference in a land close to my heart but halfway around the globe, and where I don't even have a vote? What can I do, living so comfortably as a Reformed Jew in America, the safest place in the world to be a Reformed Jew at this time? One thing the fortunate few of us can do is visit Israel. And I was blessed to be able to do that just last week. And so I asked some Israelis what they wanted us to know. They consistently said that they want us to understand that the situation there is much more nuanced and complex than it often seems to us here. That we need to stop thinking in the extremes of Israel can do no wrong on the one hand, or Israel can't do anything right on the other. Yossi Klein Halevi says, the left-right schism that dominated public opinion until the year 2000 no longer works. For Israelis who identify as centrists, and I think that we are the majority of the country, the schism is no longer between rival camps. It is the fault line that runs straight through each and every one of us. On any given day, an Israeli might wake up in the political center, eat lunch on the left, and go to bed on the right. While it is true that we in America have no vote in Israel, we do have a voice. And the people in Israel who are working tirelessly for the values we cherish need to hear that we support them. In a recent interview, Naomi Pais of the New Israel Fund said, "There are people who think that the choice between a Jewish state and a democratic state is inevitable. We disagree. Israel can both be the Jewish homeland and live up to the vision of the Declaration of Independence, in which equality is to be conferred equally on all its citizens. We have to invest in the right people in Israel because they're there. That includes the human rights community, the judiciary, the media, and academia." Pais then calls on us. "We're going to need some allies. This is going to require that American Jewish organizations step up to the plate." The institutions that underlie the progressive movement in Israel need to be reinforced. She's asking us to help in ways that I think all of us could agree upon. By supporting institutions that reflect our own values, irrespective of our politics. There are the institutions and organizations of the reform movement in Israel, including the Hebrew Union College, the Israel Religious Action Center, and the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism. Here at home, you can join ARTSA, the single largest supporter of the Israeli reform movement. We can support the New Israel Fund, which supports organizations that advance democracy, civil and human rights, religious freedom, and social and economic justice. There's the Israel Democracy Institute, an independent, nonpartisan think and do tank. I'll post information, contact information for all these organizations on our website. Israel has always been more than just a place on a map. From the beginning, it has existed as a promise, the promise of a safe place where all Jews can thrive, and that preserves our people's ideals of justice and human rights for all. Implicit in this promise is the threat that if it were ever broken, Israel would no longer truly be Israel. It would just be a place on the map. Israel is a work in progress and far from perfect, but there are tens of thousands of Israelis who are working every day to fulfill the vision of Israel's Declaration of Independence, a state that is both the Jewish homeland and a fair, open, equal society for all its inhabitants. They are why despair is not an option. They may not be the face of Israel that the world sees in the media, but they are the face of a dream worth fighting for. I began with the words of two songs of resilience, and will end with the third, Al Kol Eileh, by Naomi Shemer, known as the First Lady of Israeli song. It is a prayer asking God to watch over the complexity that is Israel. Al Kol Eileh, Al Kol Eileh, Shmor na li Eli hatov, Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, Al hamar ve'hamatok. Every bee that brings the honey needs a sting to be complete. And we all must learn to accept the bitter with the sweet. Protect the houses that we live in, the small fences and the wall. From fear and war and sorrow, please protect them all. Guard what little I've been given, guard the hill my child might climb. Let the fruit that's yet to ripen not be plucked before its time. Don't uproot what has been planted, may our bounty yet increase. Let our dearest wish be granted. Bring us peace, God, bring us peace. For the sake of all these things, God, let your mercy be complete. Bless the sting and bless the honey. Bless the bitter and the sweet. For the sake of all I love, God, let your mercy be complete. Bless the sting and bless the honey. Bless the bitter and the sweet. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will.